Cruz is a United States Senator, but he's very much anti-establishment. Cruz is very, very conservative, and he's making a bet that the reason the Republican candidates haven't done well in recent cycles is because they haven't nominated a true conservative. This week, Ted Cruz is really putting in the time in Iowa. He's sending a message that he cares enough about these small communities to go there. And that word's going to get out across Iowa.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that man that you were listening to and watching now joins us, Mark McKinnon, former media advisor to President George W. Bush and also to Senator John McCain, and executive producer and co-host of The Circus, inside the greatest political show on earth. Watch it on Showtime, Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern, and, of course, on demand. Welcome, Mark. Good to have you.
Hey, glad to be on.
Well, appreciate that, and congratulations. I know you're a big Denver Broncos fan. I think anybody with any sense of decency was rooting for the Broncos. Now I'm going to get in big trouble, but I don't really care.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm a big Broncos fan, but anybody that's for a sort of fairy book ending, you know, for a guy like Peyton Manning, who's been such a class act for so many years, and you know that he's going to retire. And so, you know, if you weren't from Carolina, you had to sort of lean that way to just say,
Absolutely.
you know, what we always love great sporting events when it comes out with the sort of perfect ending, and that was the perfect ending.
Absolutely, and well, we won't get into Cam Newton right now because we don't have enough time. But anyway, all right, so let's talk a little bit about this. The latest numbers from UMass Lowell tracking poll in New Hampshire. Trump 34 points. I think he lost 2 points in the last day. Rubio lost 1 point. He's at 13, and so is Ted Cruz. Then Kasich and Bush with 10 each. First, let me ask you about the debate that we saw on Saturday night. To me, I mean, I know how the media is run with it, and I know how public reaction is, but to me, although he could have handled it better, Rubio was 100% right. Obama does know what he's doing, and Christie is the one with the one line. Oh, only governors could be, he served in the Senate, he does nothing. He kept repeating the same line, too.
It's a great point. You know, the fact is that most people do agree with the sentiment that he expressed. And you have to discount a little bit just the overall media hype, because the media always just wants to kind of go to the simplest, easiest narrative. And the fact is that New Hampshire voters are very discerning voters, and for those of them watching the debate, you know, that was probably for a lot of them a very insignificant component of the debate. And you know, there were 57 or more minutes of that debate in which the candidates, including Marco Rubio, were pretty expansive on a lot of other subjects. So, you know, New Hampshire is typically going to make up their own mind about this thing, and the fun thing about it is that they love to turn conventional wisdom on its ear and just do whatever the hell they want.
All right, so let's say Trump wins and wins, you know, by 10 points or whatever.
Yep.
And I think that's probably going to be the likelihood. I mean, if Cruz, who is tied in this poll with Rubio, if Cruz comes in second, that's pretty good for him in New Hampshire.
I'd say more than pretty good. I'd say that's huge because, and I mentioned this in the latest episode of The Circus last night because I was with Cruz when he popped down to South Carolina and kind of planted the flag down there. And what we talked about was the 2000 campaign when we worked together on that campaign, and we went into New Hampshire with George W. Bush as the front runner and then lost by 19 points. And you know, that certainly had something to do with the kind of campaign we ran up there, which obviously wasn't very good. But I thought it also, and think that it had something to do with just kind of a cultural disconnect in the sense that George W. Bush is kind of a swaggering Texan, and the New Hampshire folks just didn't like that. And
right.
So I told Senator Cruz, I said, listen, I suspect that some of this is just about being a Texan. So I think that if he does sort of turn this tide around a little bit, and you know, he's now playing the expectations game well because of what I just mentioned and other factors. I don't think people expected him to do that well in New Hampshire. So if he's second or third, I think that's terrific for Cruz.
On the other hand, if Trump wins, you know, New Hampshire, he goes into South Carolina. He probably wins South Carolina. He probably wins Las Vegas. He's ahead in every other state poll. Is there any stopping Trump if he has a significant win in New Hampshire?
Well, maybe not, and that's what's interesting about what's happened this week is, you know, I do think that there's a lot of valid strategic consideration for the notion that the problem and I mean, actually the good thing for Trump strategically is that you have all these other candidates mixed up or kind of crunched together in the middle, not really breaking out, and that if any one of them could break out and make it more of a 2 or a 3 person race, then that would be a much different situation. But what's happened now is that, I think that Marco Rubio had some good wind at his back, and then didn't have such a great debate. We'll see how that shakes out. But if nobody breaks out, that just helps Trump. I mean, the longer there's a muddle in the middle of the establishment candidates,
because they split the vote. They all split the vote.
Exactly right.
Yeah, going to be very interesting. Mark, I hope you'll come back often. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, love Newsmax. Love what you guys do. Keep kicking it.
Thank you very much. And don't forget to watch 8 p.m. on Sundays, Eastern Time, on Showtime, Mark's show and the Circus inside the greatest political show on earth, and it is that. Up next, we're going to look at some of those Super Bowl ads. Don't go away.